Truth Seeker and/or its affiliates are not responsible for any strange phenomena that may occur during or after listening to this podcast, which may include the following: heightened senses of awareness, psychic abilities, UFO sightings, alien contact, time loss, out-of-body experiences, ringing in the ears, ESP, lucid dreaming, increased synchronicities, astral projection, telepathy, stronger intuition, levitation, miraculous healings, and/or remote viewing. Please be advised to listen at your own discretion.
Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? To a place to walk on troubled seas, faith to stand when I don't believe. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come?
You are now locked into the Truth Seeker podcast.
Gargoyles! Psychics! Everything's ungodly! Dark-sided!
Streaming live at truthseeker.com.
She's not a Christian!
Give it up, y'all.
Your portal to the paranormal, esoteric, and all things spiritual.
She's tampering in dark-sided stuff!
And now, your host, Truth Seeker.
Yo, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm your host, Truth Seeker. This is the Truth Seeker podcast. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you to all the new listeners that we have. The numbers are increasing with every episode. Really cool. Within the last week, we moved up to the number 2 spot in the spirituality category on iTunes. That's a big deal. Thank you guys. Couldn't do it without you. Thank you everybody who is sharing and supporting the work, the podcast, the music, everything that I'm a part of. Thank you for everybody who is supporting over at Patreon. Everybody who is supporting, you get extra podcasts. You get access to something new that we're starting here, which is called the School of the Mystics. We're doing it every Thursday night. It's kind of going to be like the hands-on part of the podcast, to where everybody who is reaching out, I'm getting emails and messages in my inbox daily of people's lives who are being changed simply by being a part of this show, finding this show, and it's changing your life. It's not me. I'm just a part of the collective, the energy, the awakening that's happening globally. I just got off the phone with a friend of mine who I've been doing this with for a long time, and just mentioned the fact that they used to get on to me for talking about mushroom encounters openly. They used to get on to me for talking about aliens and UFOs and psychic abilities openly, because you have your personal life and then you have your professional life, your job and your family and friends and all that stuff. And I couldn't separate the two. Like, it's powerful to me. I can't find the keys to happiness, the keys of something that is tangible that you can apply to your life and not share it with you. So they used to get on to me for talking about this stuff. But now I understand why the podcast is flourishing, because I'm talking about this stuff. Like, it's resonating with a lot of people. And the reason it is because not a lot of people are talking about it from the position that I approach it from. Where I come from a religious background, dealing with Christianity, coming out of the church, still have a faith in Jesus, still have a faith in Christ, haven't forsaken that. But it's the fact that I can still be a Christian, I could still be a follower of God, and use psilocybin. Different friends who are, they smoke marijuana. We can be Christians and talk about UFOs and aliens in a good light and not have to demonize everything. So I've seen that being vocal about my truth and what it's led to, the numbers are increasing, man. I understand what's happening. Thank you guys for supporting. Those of you guys who want to get on board, become a part of the School of the Mystics, what we're doing every Thursday night, 7 p.m. Central, head on over to patreon.com/TruthSeeker. You can sign up from any level from $1, $5, $10, whatever you're able to do. Anything helps, and at any level of giving, you get access. Thursday nights, we're going to be doing hands-on activation, prayer, meditation, and we're just going to be being candid and open with one another in a private setting where it's not going to be broadcast live or nothing like that. It's going to be something private. So if that interests you and you're looking to build with a community, I see the chat room filling up already. I know a lot of you guys are going to be there. Adam Starseed Bay, working with him. He's going to be doing some teachings and activations as well with me. So make sure you do that. You also get access to my entire discography, which is 10 plus albums, and all of the new music. And I'm uploading new music pretty much weekly. So if you want that stuff, patreon.com/truthseeker. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. It means the world that you guys believe in what I'm doing. Our guest today, someone who reached out to me. I checked out her website and her work, and I felt like she would be a perfect addition to the podcast repertoire. I feel like she has something beautiful to bring to the table, especially when it comes to learning how to activate and your psychic abilities. We're all born with them. These are energies that we've been feeling since we were children. And a lot of people don't know what's going on. You think it's all in your head. You think it's your imagination or your mind playing tricks on you. But really what it is you're sensitive to the other realms. Crystal Sunshine, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm so honored to be here today. I'm super excited. And man, I just love your story. I love your story. I completely resonate with it. And I love that you're speaking your truth. And I'm always preaching that. It's a matter of like when you live your truth, when you completely are integrated with your higher self, with your mind, body, spirit, when you're completely integrated, it's like you can't resist not speaking what's on your mind. So I'm really honored to be here. So I really admire you. So thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming on the show. I think that's really where the power is, and I've mentioned it in several episodes back. But looking at certain people, and it doesn't matter what your calling is or what you're drawn to do. I have friends who are doing what they love to do for a living. They're doing what they were born to do. What they were destined to do, and it kind of moved me to envy in a good way, an envy to do something about it. Cause I was driving a truck. I was working for somebody else. So, but I knew there was something greater for me. And it moved me to envy. So to see people doing what they love to do, speaking their truth with no repercussions and just being themselves, that right there is attractive. And it should move us all to envy, right?
Yeah, well, it's aspire and inspire, right? I mean, that's what's going on. And yeah, and you hope that like you completely inspire me. Like I was listening to your story about like how you gave up that gig, and I completely resonated with it because that's my story too. And really like the more that you connect with people, like you realize like we all share so many similar stories, right? I'm in California, you're in Alabama, but here we are like completely meeting on such, a similar level. My family's from the South as well. It's like, I gave up my corporate gig. I was tired of, making donuts for someone else and like someone else like dictating my life. And we had similar stories. I was a private flight attendant. And so, anytime you're in transportation, like Derek and I, it's like, your days could be 48 hours long and you're just going and going and going. And it's easy to lose sight of like what your true desire is, because you're so tired and you're just living someone else's truth. And I was just ready, like, I had a very financially stable job, I was making a lot of money, and my soul was not happy. It's like I was not able to be who I was at home. It was two different people. And I think a lot of people really live that story where it's like they've got the work persona and then they have the home life persona. And it's really hard to be happy unless all of those are integrated. And so, I could not be happier. I mean, the financial struggle is totally different. but like I feel that
It's worth it now though, versus on the, when you're struggling on the other way, working at a job you don't want to be at, and then juggling bills versus, okay, this is why I'm put here. Let me juggle these bills. I know it's looking crazy, but you know, where there's a will, there's a way, you know?
Right. And you end up just having faith, right? Like it's all just
Yep.
going to work out. You know, it's like when you're on the right path and you know that, and like you said, it doesn't have to be that you're in metaphysics or anything
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
Like when you're on the right path, like you're, no matter what you're doing, that it just kind of comes easy. And even though like there's certain struggles, it's like you just kind of end up having faith that it's like, no, you know what? It feels so right. It feels so good. And I know it's all going to work out. Right.
Yeah. One of the biggest ones for me was going to a tattoo shop. There's a tattoo shop over here in Daphne called the Bell Rose Tattoo. And they did a lot of my work, and me and my wife. And just to see the spirit there, they're happy. They're doing what they were put here to do, and it's like, man, I got to go to work tomorrow and I'm dreading it. I don't want to go there. I remember like Sunday evenings, just like that dread, like, oh my God, I don't want this day to end just because I had to go and clock in at 2:00 in the morning. Is what I was doing. This is insane.
Yeah, just completely acts up your solar plexus, right?
Yeah.
I look back at that time because same thing. I'd get up at 2:30 in the morning to leave for work. And I now look back, like the holidays this year was like a real reflection time for me to like look back on like what my life was a year or 2 years ago. And it felt so foreign, almost like I had stepped into another body, right? Like now I'm finally who I am. And I look back a year or two ago and I'm like, wow, that anxiety energy I was running, same thing. Like I didn't want to, I knew I had to go to bed early because I had to get up so early, but it's like, you just don't want that day to end because you don't really want to what the reality is. And how sad is that? And that's really like how, well, mainly America really lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, and I think the reason we're talking about this, we're rejoicing in this, is because this is something attainable for everyone. If you have to cut your bills back, if you have to, whatever you have to do to kind of minimize that cost of living per month, drop it down, and then take that step of faith. Do it when the timing is right. I say do it when the timing was right. I was trying to do it and then was kind of kicked off, kind of forced into it. But
why? That was divine intervention, right?
that happens for a lot of people because some of us are too scared to kind of step out of that boat, so we have to be pushed. But
yeah, it'll help. Sometimes all of a sudden, if you notice like something abrupt, if you have an abrupt change, I always think that's divine timing because you want to get off that pot.
Yep, it's too comfortable. Like it's too like I had a certain number in mind of like patron supporters. Okay, if my patron supporters take the place of my paycheck, then I can do it full time. And I'm nowhere close to that. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it first started. But now everybody's coming out the woodwork to support, so it's awesome. But you have this perfect the way of like an easy, smooth transition, and it's usually not like that. That's the whole step of faith, the whole trust in God, you know.
That's it. Yeah. What I always teach is like when I have a class on manifestation, and what I always teach is don't worry. You can't worry about the how. You only focus on the what, right? Like you're focusing on the how. Like I've got to have, X amount of supporters, right? You are totally focused on the how and not the what. Right. So if you can like focus on the what, and it's all going to work out, like the how in between, that's when kind of spirit just kind of takes over, and, the universe kind of works its magic, because it's never what you set yourself up to pursue, to want. I guess that how is never really how you came up with it. Right.
I think the two greatest days in a person's life is when, the day that you're born, and then the day that you find out why you were born, what you were put here to do, and it doesn't matter what it is. And if you want a podcast, if you want to be a healer, so many people who are watching, they have the gift of healing and those abilities. They haven't even stepped out yet. You know what I'm saying? So that's why us talking about what this podcast is designed to do, practical ways for you to do that, for you to step out financially from under a job and do that, or to try to start getting clients. You got to start somewhere. Everybody's in different places in this walk. So that's what it's about. It's about recognizing the energy, where you are with the timing. So many people are empathic, but and it's fighting against them. They can't
Right.
go out in public. They can't go to Walmart because they feel the energies. But
Yes.
once you're able to work with those energies and respond to it, you can essentially see miracles be done in the marketplace, in Walmart, in the doctor's office, wherever you are. And once you feel those energies, discern it and kind of see what they need, what that person needs, even if it's just a kind word. Like, you can be so sensitive that everywhere you go, you bring about change. And so that's why we're doing this podcast today. Let's talk a little bit about that. How did the psychic abilities and things like that start in your life? Was it something that you were experiencing as a child? Many people do.
Yeah, well, all of us experience it as children, because it's our innate ability. It's who we are. It's just like learning how to walk. It's part of our body.
Yep.
We have an entire chakra, our sixth chakra, that's completely dedicated to clairvoyance. We are designed to do this. And it's just, most of us, there's a small percentage that, where parents have nurtured their children to allow them to develop that over time. But most of us don't. Most of our parents teach us, what their version of success is, how to be an external human being, not so much an internal human being. When they teach us how to walk, when they teach us how to talk, they're not teaching us how to develop our third eye. They're not teaching us how to communicate telepathically. It's not. But I think that we're starting to change that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's our lifetime or, our children's lifetime, but I do think that we're, the movement that's really changing that. But yeah, we all have it as children. And I was one of those kids that, I just knew everything, like my claircognizance, which is in your seventh chakra. Like, I just knew everything, and for no reason. I was a small, like 3-year-old kid that just knew things. And however, my siblings were really annoyed with me. And I just never really had an answer for it. And so I always knew things and I always felt things. I'm very, very clairsentient. So I always felt things. I was a really sensitive kid. And then I had a lot of, just like a lot of kids, a lot of what quote unquote imaginary friends. But the reality is, those are, your spirit team. And when you're a kid, you're just a lot more open to it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Was that similar for you?
Definitely. Yeah. Because it all runs together. Like, it's just a natural part of life. You have these weird thoughts, you have these weird experiences, and you don't want to tell nobody about them, or if it's with shadow beings and stuff. Like, I was having those experiences as a kid, like almost a toddler, like 4 years old, having these experiences with beings walking in my room and getting on top of me and stuff and trying to suffocate me. Just crazy stuff going on.
That's intense.
As a little kid, yeah, man, yeah. I try to question it, like my mom and my grandmother and stuff. They were involved in, witchcraft, like doing spells and hexes on people, like bad stuff, really. So
New Orleans, yeah.
exactly, yeah, and that's the thing, because they're from New Orleans. Like, it was normal.
Part of who you are.
I would hear them talk to friends on the phone and say, "Hey, girl, you got some black candles? Yeah, I got to get this chick. She's talking crap." I'm like, I'm a little kid, and that's a normal phone call from my mom. And it kind of faded away now. She doesn't really do much. But when I was a kid, that was something they were doing. And then I'm reminded of all the people that were in and out of the house. Like, they would have parties and stuff too, and they're just different people that bring different energies with them, and they would get blackout drunk and pass out in front of me as a kid, and that stuff went on in the house. And then at nighttime, weird stuff would happen. I don't know what was going on, you know what I'm saying? But I have to try to make those connections there.
Don't you think, I feel that those people actually brought those energies in, and then those energies were kind of testing you because you're a kid, you're open to it.
Yep.
Adults aren't open to it as much. So I feel like it was just more like the energy that was coming in your house. Yeah, it probably felt like it was flowing in and out as well. Like, it wasn't always there. Like, it came through things. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a couple times where stuff happened that, left a mark on me. Like, I'll remember that for the rest of my life, and I'm doing what I'm doing today because of something that happened when I was 4.
Right. Well, isn't that like the beauty of it all? Like I always say, it's like you come from the wounded healer, and and all of us that have come here to really like raise the vibration and like really do, this work, you have to have the background of the wounded healer.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't really know. You can't see light all the time. You have to go through the dark, to really see the light and like how you want to raise things and how you want a better world. It's like the unfortunate side is you do have to have, that darker experience a lot of the times.
Yeah, and it just raises the questions of like, which demons do we cast out and which demons do we try to rebuke versus the demons that we try to learn from, and they're sent here to us for a reason and for a season to teach us something. Like I've made peace with my demons in the past. I'm thankful that those things happen, because I would not be the person that I am today. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, and all of that struggle and the dark stuff that we go through is to learn lessons, is maybe to have compassion for others who are stuck in that place. Definitely it's something to learn from. But I've made peace with my past demons, even though when I was going through that stuff, like I wouldn't, there's no way, like I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. But now I'm thankful for that stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to see it while you're in it. I don't think anyone ever sees it while you're in it, right? It's just
I think you get better. I think though I think now a lot of times I have vision now. So a lot of times now when I'm going through a situation, I'll know, okay, I'm gonna take this test and I'm gonna be stuck here until I learn the lesson. What is the lesson? Oh, that's the lesson. Let me apply it. Let me walk in forgiveness and love and healing to those who have wronged me. And it's, what I'm saying? It's on to the next chapter, the next testing. And so now you kind of get familiar with it, and you're able to kind of speak out in faith to people who are going to it. Going through it. Even with the whole, money and finances situation. And I've been at a place where I lost my job in the past, and I panicked, like, oh, how am I going to pay bills? How am I going to do this? And then an unexpected check will show up, or something will happen, or I'll work one day with a friend and make more money than I was making in 2 weeks in one day. Just these miracles. And I was like, you know what? God got me. God got me. So there's no reason for me to freak out and panic. Like, I'm a son. Like, I don't have to worry where my next meal's coming from. So to be able to learn those principles and see our friends and family going through the same things that we've been through, we're like, hey, hold on, don't freak out. The first thing you do is don't panic. God got you. It's going to be okay,
Yeah, no, and that just shows spiritual growth.
Yeah.
That shows like immense spiritual growth to be able to. I'm the same way now too. It's like, but you have to go through all those experiences to actually achieve spiritual growth, and it's a constant work in progress, but you're kind of able to like just view it and say like, okay, I'm in this lesson for this reason. And then you can work it energetically too. Like everything can be worked metaphysically and energetically. And like when you do go in that fear mode, you do have to kind of check yourself, because fear just creates fear, and the universe wants to create whatever you're asking for.
Yeah.
So when you're sitting there saying, I don't have enough money for my mortgage, the universe is going to be like, all right, let's make that happen. Right.
Yeah.
Let's make sure you don't have enough money for your mortgage.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you really have to like check yourself and be like, no, you know what? Like God does have my back. Like the universe has my back. And like, you just have to like shift that perspective. And don't you find that like everything just is a matter of like working that energy and like shifting that perspective, right? And kind of just like almost like a little tweak, like just move that energy a bit, right?
Yeah, definitely. There's I've studied the scriptures for years and come from the Christian background, but the Bible is full of a bunch of metaphysical stuff, a bunch of some beautiful esoteric stuff. So when you talk about that, my mind always goes back to the scripture says that the promises of God are yes and amen. And that essentially is like whatever you're putting out, the universe is saying, yes, amen. Yeah. This is, so be it. This is going to happen. So if you're focusing on, you're focusing on the negativity, if you're focusing on the questions and the despair and rumors and you're just feeding into that stuff. But if you shift it, you begin to see, and it's all about faith. It's all that's a lesson too, because until you see breakthrough happen there, you're going to still be stuck in the rut. But you know what? My words are powerful, and I'm going gonna speak my way out of this situation. I'm gonna create this with my breath. I'm gonna create this with the life that's given to me. And then once it starts happening, you say, oh, this is working. Every time I get in that place, even though I feel depressed, let me speak my way out of it. Let me bless this life that I want for myself. Let me bless my future. Let me bless my podcast. I do it for my podcast. I thank God in a spirit of gratitude. And I thank the prime creator that that this podcast is helping people. It's changing people's lives and things. And guess what? My inbox in turn gets flooded with inbox messages where the podcast is changing people's lives. I don't see that as a coincidence. Like, we're creating this.
Yeah.
We're co-creators with God, is what the scripture says. Co-creators.
That's it. Say yes and be grateful. That's yes and amen, right? Like, say your gratitude every single morning, and it's hard to have a bad day.
It is.
You know, right? Like, even if you've had one of those nights where it's like you've stayed up because like you're so worried about things, it's like, wake up and just be like, I'm so thankful for the roof over my head. I'm so thankful for this bed I'm in, right? And it really does shift your perspective.
Yeah.
You are like, I mean, we're all living in this picture of on the earth plane, right? It's just like a picture that we're just being able to co-create along the way. Like, we're so powerful and we don't even know it, you know? And that's all you had to do. You put it out to the universe that like, listen, like, I want to change lives. And like, this is what I want to do, and provide an avenue for me to change lives, for me to inspire, for me to aspire, you know? And you also, you know, receive teachers along the way, and you are a teacher along the way, you know, and you're totally creating that. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. It's about bringing it into the now moment is essentially what we're talking about. We see people like Eckhart Tolle, who's a millionaire, off of teaching people how to bring their life and their perspective into the now moment, because there's no such thing as tomorrow. Jesus even says, be anxious for nothing. Don't shift your consciousness outside of yourself to, like, you know what I'm saying, six weeks from now. And I see that in my life. I used to play in a band, a metal band, and we would have gigs coming up, and the gig may be a month out, and I was just overly zealous, consumed for this concert to come out. It was a big concert, and I'm like, man, I can't wait. So every day I'm thinking, and I'm just focusing all my energy on that. And then it comes and it goes, and then I'm like, oh, well, that was anticlimactic, you know what I'm saying? And so, but it shows me, it's like, man, I wasted a lot of time putting a lot of energy in something that was going to happen anyway. And but it shows you, just being anxious for something, it takes you out of the now moment, because your mind isn't on what we're doing now, having a conversation, no matter who you're with. Be present, focus on your breath, focus on the things in your life that are blessings that you're grateful for. Live life with the attitude of gratitude, but to stay in that now moment, because that's where the magic is. That's where stuff happens now. It's not tomorrow. It's not like, man, I hope to one day be a good rapper, or I hope to one day be a healer. Like, that was my whole thing with the whole psilocybin journey, was shifting it outside myself. And I heard the voice of the spirit say, you already are a healer. You're not going to be a healer. You already are. And begin to show me things in my life that, man, like, people are being healed. People are being set free through the music, through the prayers, and through the podcast and everything that we're doing and stuff. And it shifts the perspective, because there's no such thing as time. There is no tomorrow. It's about right now.
And we can only manifest in present time.
Exactly.
You know, that's it. This is our optimum manifestation, is being in present time. And it's like, you just have to take that deep breath, like you said, and just be in the center of your head, you know, master controller of your seat. And that's where it happens. And we're the only animals on this planet that live in anxiety. And it's because we just go unconscious, and we think about tomorrow. We think about the past. We're the only animals that do that. You know, that's why we're so anxious. You know, that's just, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's so much about worry and about doubt and about fear, and how they're, you know what I'm saying, they're powerful. For one thing to be true, so for faith, belief, understanding, creating, for all that to be true, the opposite has to be true as well. Like, so doubt, fear, unbelief, worry, and anxiety, all of these things are true as well. And you have to pick. You have to consciously pick what you're going to cater to and what you're going to walk in daily. And regardless of the circumstance, the whole definition of faith in general is to see the things that are not as though they were, to be able to see the things that you want to create and picture it in your mind's eye.
Yeah, I love that. I really love that. Wow. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. I love that.
When it comes to, so you had these encounters as a kid and it was just something that came naturally. So when did it kind of move to the next level as far as getting serious or acting out that you know that I'm going to pursue this? There's something more there than just a kid with an overactive imagination,
Right,
as far
right.
as the psychic ability is concerned.
Yeah. Well, I moved into my teenage years and then my 20s, and I actually forgot all about it. I had to go through my wounded healer phase.
Yeah.
I had to go through a lot of stuff. And then it was, I'm almost 43 now, but I got married, divorced, I went through the whole thing. And I just completely lost myself. Like, it was a complete out of body experience almost for 15 years. And then so about 10 years now, so I must have been about 32, 33, and I got a divorce, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like, who am I? Like, who am I? Like, I just had this huge awakening, and I didn't even recognize myself anymore. Like, that little girl that knew everything and had such an imagination and believed in unicorns and mermaids, like, that girl didn't exist anymore. And it's like, I believed in magic and fairies, and I worked with the fairies, and that girl was just gone. And so I went through this huge transformation of trying to find myself again. And I knew that traditional therapy just wasn't it. Like, I knew that I had to really hit everything on a soul level. Like, I had to go deep to really find myself again and discover myself again. So it was about 10 years ago now, about 11 years ago, where I just completely dug deep into all spirituality. It was just I was just a student of the earth and the heavens. And I was just give me every bit of knowledge, just allow me to just be. And that's when it just all started flooding back in. So it's been about 10, 11 years. And then of course I went to I'm a formally trained clairvoyant. So I went through a lot of classes and, a year and a half worth of training just to work on my third eye. And so it's I really started, I kind of just started to shed the layers, it's it was therapy for me. And then it turned into so much more than just therapy. It's I was able to uncover everything, and then I was able to discover. And then, so it's once I was there, I was able to then start just building on no, this is who I want to become. And it's I was down, and then it's now I'm building that pyramid of just lifting up. So yeah, but I do want to say we talk about being the healer and your life path and things like that. I have a lot of clients that come to me that exactly like you, they said, I want to be a healer. I want to do that. And what people don't realize, they don't give themselves enough credit that no matter what they're doing, if they're walking on the street and they look someone in the eye and they say, hey man, have a great day.
Yeah.
You're a healer. You're touching someone's space, and a healing is really just about shifting space. And so people get a little down, oh, I need to do this professionally, or I need to do things.
Yeah.
And it's what people don't understand is their light is within, and they carry it with whatever they do. Your tattoo artist, they're all healers over there. They're all carrying their light, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a professional space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To be a professional healer, that I lay hands on people and heal them or do Reiki or something. You can bring healing in so many different ways. My wife works with disabled children on horseback therapy.
Oh my gosh!
And
wow.
she absolutely loves it, and she's pretty much living her dream doing that, and it's awesome. And healing comes back to, what I'm saying, so many different places, and it's just you being your authentic self, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need approval. Hopefully it's something good. I believe it's something good. I don't think your authentic self is someone who's a bad, mean, horrible person who pisses everybody off and stuff like that. I think it's something that is of love and light for everybody. I think that's across the board. But when you find out who that is and what you want to do, I think that those energies as far as healing and love and light will help to build that and to actually walk in it full time. If you want to do it, if you want to be a full-time healer. I mean, there's so many people watching who I get the messages, they, you know what I'm saying, they want to be a healer, and it's the same. This is what we're telling you. Same thing Spirit told us. You already are. You already are a healer. Focus on that. Focus on what works. Don't do what works for me. You got to find out what works for you. What are you good at? You might not be good at podcasting. You might not be good at rapping. Like, this is my story. I'm embracing it. And whatever your story is, if you like to cook, do it. And be happy, and that energy, whatever creates that sacred space for you. You know what I'm saying? And tap into that flow state. Learn how to do it, man.
Yeah, because even say for the example of cooking, it's like you could raise that vibration of that food. You could create something beautiful. And then everyone that's going to have this food is just going to be carrying this high vibration. You know, it's in everything that we do. And I think that like when you really do find what your soul like really signed up to experience, it starts to flow easy. And it may be something that you never saw yourself doing. Like, I never thought that I would be a professional psychic and like teaching metaphysics. I was always into it. It always interested me, but I never thought that like I would be doing it professionally. And then it just steps, the universe is like, yeah, no, yeah, you are. Yep. And it's beautiful. And honestly, and that's like what we're talking about. Don't worry about the how. Focus on the what. Like I knew I wanted to follow my heart's path, and I didn't really even know what my heart's path was. Like I knew that I wanted to be at home, and I'm sure that's important for you too. After you have a life of always being on the road, like you know, being home to me, like the word is luxurious. Like it is so luxurious just to be home. And of course, that's not everyone else's journey, but it's like I really wanted to follow my heart path, and I really wanted to help people, and I really wanted to be a teacher, and meaning like not even a professional teacher. Like I wanted like to share knowledge, and like really there was a reason why I was, you know, I came to this world, you know, being a positive girl. You know, I am a positive girl, not annoyingly, but it's like, hey, you know, there's a light to everything. Like shine your light. Like I think part of my work is allowing everyone to shine their light bright, you know, like never dull anyone's light. Like we all have this beautiful light that it's our right to shine bright, you know. I never want to throw dust on anyone's path, you know. So yeah. I
think the power kind of comes from being a creator. Like if we're made in the image and likeness of a creator, then there's this inward longing to create stuff, and a satisfaction and a gratitude that comes when we birth something that didn't exist. When I get done with a song and it's a good one, I feel really good about it. Like I'm able to share it with the world, and other people are having like spiritual encounters and mystical experiences by listening to my music. But then it didn't exist like that. I created it. I birthed it into this reality. I went to the ether, the dream state, and brought it into this reality, something that didn't exist. And it's for, like we're saying, the tattoo artist who comes up with a painting or puts art on somebody's body, someone who bakes something, someone who creates. And I think maybe that's what we're longing to do. We're longing to imitate the creator, and we want to create something. And hopefully it's good stuff. You know, people create bad stuff all the time, and I don't know if they're happy with creating it, but I know they're happy with the paychecks and stuff that comes from creating bad stuff. But to that experience, and I think I'm resonating with some people when I say that, of just wanting to create, wanting to birth something that didn't exist until you breathed into it.
Because it feels so good. Right? It feels good to be the creator. And I think what you said was absolutely beautiful about like, it's that whole image of, you know, that God's within us, and that whole image of I am God. You know, we are mimicking the creator. We are God. Like I am God. Like that's that was a huge step for me to like step out, like, I live on the beach here, and it's like to step out on the beach and like put my arms out and be like, I am God. Like, it is a beautiful thing to say, and you do feel it. And it is a beautiful creation space to live in. And oh my God, it feels so good to create. It's like you plant that little seed and you water it and you nurture it. And, it takes time.
Yeah.
Like, everyone thinks like, okay, well, I put it out to the universe and like, they haven't answered back. Well, it's like that seed that you're planting. Like, you've got to water it every day. The sun has to come on it. You have to nurture it. It may be a year before it grows, and then it may be 3 years before it bears fruit. Like, it's a beautiful thing, and creation happens on its own time. And oh my God, I love creating too. And that's like what inspires me. Like, my friends, they say, oh my God, like, you never stop. And it's like, it doesn't feel like work. Like, I think that's when you're on your right path.
There you go. Yeah.
Doesn't feel like work. It's like, oh man, I don't mind these like 16-hour days. I minded those 16-hour days when I was flying, but I don't mind it now, because it's like I'm creating what I want to create, and hopefully inspiring people along the way, and then that's when it just doesn't feel like work, is when that's my impression.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. When you're able to do it, and it doesn't feel like work. There's the whole side of it that, we're talking about the spiritual aspect of creating. So, I mean, obviously someone can just easily paint a picture and there's no connection there. They're birthing something, but there's like a spiritual aspect of it that we see, that we connect with creating. But then there's the practical side as well. And just like we're talking about with healing, there's the spirit, the really deep hands-on Reiki, moving energy, helping people out with curses spoken over them, negative mindsets and stuff like that. Really deep spirituality. But it all comes back to something very practical as well. Like you said, just saying hello to somebody, telling somebody, wishing them well on their day, whatever it is, giving somebody a hug, shaking somebody's hand, looking them in the eye, whatever the case is. It gets deep, but it always comes back to being practical. And I'll always mention, like, I don't really talk about conspiracy theories too much anymore, because it's a theory. Like, it's not tangible. It's not practical. We can't bring it into our lives and see change and see manifestation. We're just talking about theories. And I like to deal with truth. And I think that what we're talking about has the ability to change people's lives. And we're seeing that. So it's as spiritual as you want to make it, because everything is. And I know I don't think we over spiritualize it, but if you can't take your spirituality and bring it into practicality for somebody's life, man, then I really don't want nothing to do with it. But I think that's what it's about, right? Bringing it into the now moment, and being able to bring it into our just like day to day, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And in spirituality, like, because I read energy, and like when I read that someone's running like a spirituality energy, it's a hard thing to define, because spirituality is so individualized, and spirituality is so within, and like your spirituality is not my spirituality. And it's like, it's all about like not living up to anyone else's expectations. It's about go within and find out what is your spirituality. And that doesn't even, you don't ever have to say the word God in your spirituality. You can your world is your world, and like whatever you want to create, and that's your spirituality, like go for it, man. Right? Like, if that's what makes you feel good, go for it, and that's your truth. And I think that's the beauty of spirituality, and the beauty of like what we're moving towards and stuff, and kind of maybe stepping away from like organized temples and religions and congregations, even though that works for some people and that's wonderful for them, but the reality is you are your own temple. So however you want to experience your spirituality, like I'm all for it. For me, it's like I'm out on the water. Like I have a little bulldog, and we hit the waves together. And like, that's the moment of like when I'm closest with nature. And like, that's where my meditation space, and that's actually where I get my major downloads. Mm-hmm. And so that's my spirituality.
Yeah. And that's what works for you. And it's working. So you can share it, but you can share that with others with confidence, because it's actually working,
Yeah. Because I'm integrated. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, so I just encourage people, like, go out, man, like just go out and find it. Like it'll find you.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some, and we got people who look up to us, and well, I say us, we have a lot of different people in our circles and stuff, and different healers and missionaries and stuff who are all powerful. And then we have friends who listen, and I don't know if they get confused, but we all do it differently. And they're like, I guess they're stuck. Like, I don't know if I should listen to you or do it like you or do it like you or do it like you. And I said, look, I don't want you to do it like me. I think you're supposed to learn from all of us, whoever's in your life you're learning from, whether it's something you want to apply or push it away, right? So whatever works for you. If I bring something to the table that works, apply it to your life. See if it's tangible. Anybody, I don't care who it is, but if you try it out and it's falling on its face, it doesn't work for you, keep it moving. Keep it moving. You don't have to be another spitting image of another person and adopt. I think coming out of religion teaches us that though, that we have to like agree to the tenets and do it this way and this way and this way. And if I don't do it, then I won't be accepted or I'm doing it wrong. Right.
So much judgment, right? So much judgment. And I think that's hard as human beings. Like, we have to deprogram ourselves against that judgment, because we've all been raised, our generation, I mean, we've all been raised with some sort of foundation. You know, even if it wasn't a congregation, it was some sort of foundation that you were programmed to believe in, right? Whether it was whether it was this or that, you know, it's some foundation you were programmed. And that's the whole thing. We were just programmed. And the world shouldn't be about judgment. Like, you shouldn't feel resistance when you're starting to dive into spirituality. You shouldn't feel any resistance. Try it on, see what it feels like for you. And, you know, and do a body check on yourself. Like, am I getting like a sick pit in my stomach? Oh, that's my solar plexus. Okay, maybe that dress isn't right for me. You know, let me try something else, you know, and it'll find you. But yeah, judgment is one of those things where I'm like, oh, it bugs me so much. Like, I just wish, you know, and we're so programmed to judge other people.
Yeah, it's you have to go through it to learn not to do it a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? Like, I try my hardest not to bring about division or crush somebody's dreams, even if I don't agree with like everything a person's doing. I try to do it gracefully. I don't try to tear a person down, because I've been there. Like, I've been the person who has been the one that, hey, stay away from that guy. He's this. When I was coming out of Christianity, I was the evangelist and stuff. And then when I started talking about aliens or psychic abilities or having this podcast, interviewing people who believed in this kind of stuff, it was a weird transition for me, just because I thought it would open up dialogue from a biblical perspective with these people in the church realm, but it didn't. It kind of like backfired on me. Like, there was conversation being had, but I wasn't a part of it. It was just about me, you know? So
they weren't for you, they were against you.
Yeah. And like, being real empathic, like, you can feel that. You can feel when groups of people are gossiping about you. And then there was times like I tried to go back and visit a particular church, and people couldn't look me in the eyes, and I was like, hey, it's the same me. I still believe this stuff I've been believing. I'm just vocal about it now. Like, nothing's changed, you know. But they look at me and be like, oh my God, you're here. I'm like, hey, what y'all been doing, you know?
And don't you think that it's just their own fear?
It is. It definitely is. Definitely is. Well, it's the fear that they're wrong. If Truth Seeker is right, then I'm wrong. And so they've given their life to follow a doctrine. They've paid money. They pay a lot of money, but they've pledged their not only their life but their afterlife. So if they've been lied to about something, they've pledged their life and given their eternal salvation over into, and you're a threat to that. You know what I'm saying? That's very fearful. I mean, we've all had to kind of reach those levels to where we're in the unlearning process, and we have to break down everything that we've learned. I mean, I did that coming into my awakening, even with the Bible and everything I've taught, because you have your essential core truths, and you're like, I'm just praying and getting along with God. Like, God, you teach me. I don't want to remember nothing these people taught me if it's not of you, if it's not true. And you have to break down and kind of give a reason just for your own self of why you believe what you believe, and go through it. Okay, is this true? Let me research it. Let me look it up. Okay. and just kind of build yourself again from the ground up. And essentially you got to be born again. You know what I'm saying? You got to do it all over again.
It's a valid, that's a valid phrase, born again. Like all of us, like coming into this, have been born again in some form or another. Maybe not the traditional sense of the phrase,
exactly,
but some form or another. And I just appreciate it when someone is a free thinker. When someone actually thinks for themselves. And I think that's the downside of, and don't get me wrong, like I think a lot of people respond really, really well in organized religion, and I love that it works for them. But I think a lot of people, they're not free thinking what their views are as far as religion goes. So I completely admire you that you like stepped out and you were just like, listen, like, these are the thoughts that are going on in my head. Like, these are my downloads that I'm receiving, and I'm just going to live my authentic truth. And that takes a lot of balls. I mean, that takes like a lot of cojones to get out there and like know that you're going to have opposition and to just say it. So
I went through a lot to, to be where I am. And I'm vocal about it because I'm reading the chat room right now. There's a bunch of people watching on YouTube live. Because they're in the position that I was in, 6 years ago. Like, they're going through it now. They're having the awakening. They're having UFO encounters, alien encounters. They have other sacred texts that appeal to them, other religious teachers that don't claim, and so they're having this awakening that's outside of the box. But if they're vocal about it, you're gonna get the boot to the back of the head. They're gonna, like, it's nasty the way they do it. Even if it's what it's kind of been called ghosting now, where they just don't even talk to you. You don't exist. It's not like they make a formal statement, but that's hard on people, man. Like, this is your family,
Hard. Yeah, well, it's basically taking like the rug from underneath you, like ripping away your foundation. And I don't know, like the whole dichotomy of it, of like, God is supposed to be there to support you and love you for no matter what. And so it's very difficult for me to hear that, like, I'm happy my lesson wasn't to go through what you went through with that, because that's really hard. Like, this is who you identified with. And then it's like, all of a sudden you speak up something different. And then like your foundation's ripped over and it's like, hey, what happened to like, God has my back, or that we are supposed to love our brother, right? I mean, is a scripture, love thy brother?
Heck yeah. It was hard going through it, but I have to not play the victim. And once I can look at it from their perspective, okay, you have a doctrine, you have a belief system, you have a system that's helping people, it's healing people, and then you got this other guy coming, bringing something different, challenging. This person, I become a threat. So they have to kind of find some way to deal with that person or to shun them, and their way is just to tell everybody to stay away from them. Like, there was never no conversation with me. I've never had a conversation with the pastor about anything I believe or nothing like that, or really not, you know what I'm saying, not even people of the congregations and stuff. Like, it was just like, I'm open for the world. Like, all my belief system is documented on the internet, you know what I'm saying? Right, so whether it's posting on Facebook, which is a big one, you know what I'm saying? But I think in their case, they're justified because they had to protect something. And so anybody who's going through that, just look, man, you guys are a threat to their system. You're not going to, and people want to try to stay there like, oh, I'm going to stay there, man. I'm getting fed here spiritually. I really cope. But I say, bro, you can't be yourself. Like, if these people believe, if these people find out, I got a buddy of mine who's working on an album. It's out now, Watchmen. He would go to church and he loved it. And they got to a point where they were talking down about me not wanting to go to church. And I was like, bro, I can't. I'm a threat to these people, bro. And you are too. If these people find out that you're working on an album about ET contact and aliens and UFOs and the Kundalini spirit and meditation, if they find out that you're doing that, they're going to cut your head off. It's over for you, bro.
Only fear and love exist. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, you got to get out of there, man. You can't. It's like people trying to join politics to change it from the inside out and stuff. Like, I can be a change. Like, man, you're gonna eventually see that they're gonna change you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Change starts within. And I know it sounds like super cheesy and cliche, but listen, like if you want to change the world, like just you can do like grassroots going and just start changing yourself. And look, like take you for example, it's like I'm just going to start like bringing content out and like hopefully like stimulating conversation. And like it's a grassroots movement, and like look how many lives you're impacting. Like I mean, I think now is the grassroots movements, like it's corporations that we kind of have to shy away from, and it's the grassroots movement. So yeah. So now I'm curious about like all your alien contact and stuff, as far as like, well, you're the host. Go for it. You do what you want. Sorry.
No, go ahead. What do you want to know?
Well, I'm just so because I work with a few, like I have an ascension guide that's actually like an 8th dimension, and so I'm just curious, like when you get your like ET contacts or like ET downloads, that sort of a thing, do you find that it's from like a higher vibration, a higher dimension, and like you're getting like very like ascension, like activations and that sort of a thing, and it's not like the fear-based of like time ago where it was like
heck yeah. I'm really against that stuff as far as like the whole fear, as far as like alien abductions or anything like that. Like I think a lot of that stuff was just was done by the government to put fear and hysteria in that community, so that when you see a craft or you see a light in the sky, you won't try to contact it, you won't try to signal it. Like there's cases of people signaling it, and I talk about it in some of my songs that talking about going out with the lasers and shooting the lasers up at these lights that are in outer space, pretty much, and but you know what I'm saying, for me, from a Christian perspective, that's where I approached it. It was all studying angels. First it was they were all demons, because that's where the Christian perspective on UFOs is that they're all demonic. Anything out there in space is an alien demon. And so I studied it from that perspective for a long time, but I seen it was just super duper biased, and it would ignore facts and stuff, and I was like, man, these people have an agenda. Like this all isn't demonic. Like what I'm researching is showing that these are angelic. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I just began to kind of open up my research and to different people. James Gilliland, which I just had on the podcast. He was a big one for me. Dr.Steven Greer. There was a guy who's passed now, but he had a Patrick Cook. He had a website called BibleUFO.com, and it was just like his wife ended up deleting it once he passed, which kind of sucks. But it was slam full of biblical scriptures that would describe what they believed to be UFOs and these encounters with these angelic beings that almost seemed like you're dealing with technology and stuff, and so many obscure biblical passages. And I would research that stuff, and then there was historical documents dating back from like the 1800s of people seeing UFOs and stuff. And so I just began to do the research for what it was, and then go out under the night sky and try to make contact. And I'm talking to God, I'm praying, if these are what I'm researching in the Bible as the Elohim, or the cherubim or the seraphim, which are mentioned of in the Bible of different types of angelic hosts. The word seraphim means the fiery ones, the ones who are made out of fire. And then I'm going out there stargazing, praying, talking to God, connecting, and I see a fiery chariot fly by and stop on a dime, and I'm like,
got chills.
And that was life-changing, and I didn't know who to talk to about. I couldn't talk to my pastor about this stuff, you know what I'm saying? So I started the podcast, and I reached out to James Gilliland and his staff and people. I would call in the podcast. Like podcasts were big for me. I would find people who were all types of faith. I'd call Hindu podcasts. I've called the Egyptology, where people are talking about just like ascending, talking about the same thing that we're talking about in Christianity, but it's just worded differently. And I was able to see that.
Yeah.
I was able to see that.
Yeah.
And
It's
so,
just two things picture, when you actually do it, say you lay all of these religions out on the line on a completely horizontal path, like they all build off of each other. They all have similarities. It's just too big of a picture to think that there's just one dominant one.
Yeah, and each one thinks that they're the only way. You know what I'm saying? And they're saying the same thing. And I noticed that, like, I could teach the teachings of Jesus, but not, or even Paul the Apostle, some of his teachings, but I would reword them. I wouldn't quote them as chapter and verse and stuff. I would just give you the spirit of it and what it meant, and people would resonate with it. Like, I would go on so many talk shows and stuff, and people would resonate with it, but the church crowd would get mad because I misquoted it or I said it differently, and they're like, and they would get mad. It's like, it's the same essence. I'm saying the same thing, but I didn't preface it the way that you wanted. It just showed me the dogma. Like, you don't really care what's being said. You care more about how it's being said. Like, he's talking about love and acceptance and showing grace to those who don't deserve grace, showing love and mercy to those who feel like they don't deserve it. Like, that's the message of Jesus. Like now that we're doing that in a way that's non-judgmental, why are you getting mad? And I just seen people lash out over the years. So, I gotta step back, man, and just do what works. Like, this stuff works for me, and Jesus taught it, Paul taught it, and so did all the other religions. They all taught it, and it's beautiful, and that's what it's about for me. So whether it was dealing with UFOs or going out there, and I just seen, and there was just a span of probably a year and a half where I just had so much activity of seeing craft, and then the telepathic communication comes, and then
it downloads a lot. The
downloads, and then it was like, okay, I'm seeing all this at night, and I want to know for myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going out there to start a podcast. I'm not going out there for nobody else. I'm spending hours under the stars for myself, to know how the universe works, what's happening. And I seen it. I seen so much, and and then I wanted to see it during the day, because it's like, okay, if you're having these sightings at night, it could easily be a plane, it could easily be a satellite. Let me see something during the day.
Look at you self-doubting.
and then I started seeing it. I wanted to make sure I'm not, because, like, you have this expectation that's crazy, and then when you're out there stargazing and the plane's coming, you're like, maybe it's a UFO, and you're like, oh, it's a plane. Like, everybody does that, so you got to kind of catch yourself, just to make sure. But I seen stuff that would blow your mind. I'd see, like, fleets of UFOs come out of nowhere, a fleet of them, and they would do shapes and formations, and then they would just disappear and leave during the day. Like, I've seen this stuff, and then there's downloads, and it's insane. Like, something's going on.
Yeah, well, you opened yourself up. You opened up the communication.
And all you have to do is look up. It's been going on over our heads the entire time, but we're so consumed. And it's symbolic about spiritually being consumed with the things of this earth and our own pleasures and our own egos and things like that. All we have to do is just stop, take a few minutes, and focus, and just look up. Anybody can have these encounters. I'm not special. Like, everybody can do this, and that's what I try to, if that's what you want, do it. You have to do the work, but it's available for you. If you want to know that what we're saying is true, try it. Test it. Like, it's something's going on. But then it's the whole scenario about how do you interpret that? Well, you're contacting demons or you're contacting angels, but I've got the scriptures and the teachings and lines about how UFOs or angels have been contacted, and that's what they are for me. They're all just, different types of angels that are watching over us and communicating and stuff. So
and really it's about focusing your awareness, right? And that's almost how all of this spirituality works. Like, that's how clairvoyance works too. You just focus your awareness. As humans, we tend to be focusing our awareness on tomorrow, or the next concert, or a month from now, or looking down, or focusing on, like, I got to get to work on time. We focus on other things, but you just focus your awareness on what you wanted to focus your awareness on, and there it is. I
want to address a comment in the chat room. This is from a good friend of mine, Kenny Rideout, and I've done some teachings on this in the past, but they were since removed on my old channel years ago. But Kenny Rideout, which is a good friend of mine, he says even Satan can appear as an angel of light. Got to be careful of great deception to fool even the elect, if it were possible to fool even the elect. I want to address that scripture because that's one that comes up in the angel and alien debate about angels and aliens and demons. And I just want to address that. Like, if we're looking at the context of scripture, that sounds good. The scripture says that even Satan and his ministers are transformed as angels of light. And so when we're into the supernatural, we're into aliens and demons, we think that that's talking about a light being or an entity that comes as an angel of light and appears to you, or an alien in outer space that's really a demon that appears as an angel of light. It looks beautiful. It looks like a woman with a flowing dress or something that is pleasing to the eyes. And so that's where the Christian church sees that. But I want to point that out because in the context of that, if you read it, it says that even Satan can appear as an angel of light, and even his servants as ministers of righteousness. That's talking about pastors. Like if we read that in the context, that's talking about preachers that are deceiving people, that have malicious intent, but they appear as angels of light. The word angel means messenger. And when it's being used there in the context, he's talking about false prophets. He's talking about people who come to you with the Bible, but inwardly they're ravenous wolves. That's exactly what he's talking about. I can see where it would be appealing to think that it was talking about entities there, and that would be cool. And maybe the principle is still true. Maybe a demon can come to you, but that scripture is not talking about entities. That scripture is talking about ministers of righteousness. It's talking about preachers. So wanted to clear that up a little bit.
Yeah.
But he says, okay, but it could be angels as well. It could be angels as well. It could be, but right there, it's talking about preachers. The whole warning that demons come as angels of light. It's talking about pastors and false prophets who are coming deceiving the people there. But there's a lot more to it. I mean, there's other scriptures that talk about that people getting into the worshiping of angels, right? So there's that too. You begin to worship an angel or worship a messenger, a minister. There's people who worship ministers, gurus.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel that I don't believe in worshiping, a guru or putting anyone up on a pedestal thinking that they're higher than anyone else, right? I do believe in, like, we're all here for this human experience. We all have this beautiful light body inside of us, and we're all here for this beautiful experience. And once you start idolizing, something else and putting your energy into idolizing something else, I don't know, I feel like it kind of stunts your spiritual growth a little bit, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, but we always have this like veneration for people who've helped us, though, especially early on. You know what? And there's a thing, and I know I'm getting all religious here, but there's a thing in the church circles. They call it being church hurt. It's when like the pastor does something or the congregation does something to you and you get offended and leave the church. Usually I've seen that happen when someone's a baby Christian or they just get into religion. And this could be, you know what I'm saying, universal for Islam, Hinduism, you know what I'm saying, New Age circles, it doesn't matter. But when you have your faith in that person and that person does something wrong, like we've seen them, like, well, there's a pastor gets caught stealing money, let's just say that, or going outside of his marriage or whatever the case is. And then the person who was following them, they quit believing in God. Their whole faith is shattered because of this man. They put this person on this platform and this person fell, and now your faith in God is shaken off of the actions of another man, and that shows you that their faith was in that person. And there's so many people, and they don't even know it though. Like you come into it, it's, hey, pastor this, hey, pastor that, hey, that, and you're just kind of in that club. Oh yeah, I believe this because pastor or whatever, and people find themselves there so often,
Oh yeah. Well, that goes back to the be a free thinker, be a free thinker. I mean, of course, like we're always going to like have people that inspire us, right? And we're always going to look up to people, and like I find so much inspiration in you. Am I going to idolize you? Hey, I mean, as much as maybe, but but probably not.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to put all of my faith into someone's word
Yeah.
100%. Like, I mean, if you can, like, take everything with a little bit of a grain of
Yeah.
salt. It's I think that's when you kind of dig yourself a little bit of hole, is when you idolize, and really put all your expectation and all your faith into one being. And the reality is that we're all human, and we're all gonna F up, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're all gonna like just fuck up at some point, right? And we might as well be in our master controller seat, and like we can handle a lot better if we ourselves fuck up, because we tend to take it a lot more personal, if someone we're idolizing does that, right? And it knocks us off.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when you, and then like a lot of times when you finally meet that person that you're that you're looking up to, idolizing, a lot of times people are let down because they have greater expectations. They're like,
because they put them up here.
Yeah. Like, I'm a regular person, bro. Like, I'm a regular dude just like you. And I'm here to show you. Like, I'm here like Jesus. What did Jesus do? He's here to show you that you can do it too.
Yeah.
Greater things. Anything that I've done, you see me do, greater things you shall do. But I'm done and greater. And that's it. Don't follow me. Don't worship me. Don't put me on a pedestal. Because I'm going to let you down. I don't know when.
We're just humans. It's what we do.
It's because people have these fake, like, that's just the whole thing with idolatry. They have these preconceived notions of you and these expectations that you didn't sign up for. Like,
Right.
hold on. I know. And so I've talked about this extensively in the past, but people put you on a pedestal and they're let down. And, it's that the whole thing is weird though, because what I come from, the church realm, and I know it's done in all these other circles as well, but in the church realm, you got to have all the answers. You have to have everything figured out, and you have to demonize the other ministers or the other denominations. Like, they have to be bad. You can't say, oh yeah, they're good, man, good people, bro, they love God. You can't say that. You have to say, well, you got to be careful, and that's their thing. You got to be careful. And so I've seen that even in the Friends, because I'm like on the outer skirts of the Friends Christian movements and stuff, and there's a lot of other people who have big followings, and I've tried to make it my point not to demonize them or talk bad about them, because I can see the bigger picture, and I know what you're doing, and you're doing that to build a following. But you have to, like, if I want you to support me, but I know you guys listen to so and so, I have to be like, yeah, he's cool, but yeah, he's into some stuff. I don't believe in that. He's off on this. He's kind of lost his way. And you do that to make yourself look better, in hopes that those people will turn away from that person and follow you.
Yeah, it's just ego and fear. That's it.
You gotta escape that stuff. When you see people doing that, I'm telling you guys, you think that they're looking out for you. They're trying to reel you in and get you and get you to be their follower. They want to be your guru. They want you to be the devotee to them and support them financially and all that stuff. It's dirty, man. And I can't flow freely in that, and it's demonic. And I try to stay neutral in that whole thing, man. I try to look for the good in people, because out of everybody out there, I think they all have some good. But if I think somebody's making it up, I'll let you know. If I think they're fake, I'll let you know.
But you're just being real. Yeah. All that other stuff's just a form of manipulation, and it really is just throwing dust on someone's light, And the truth is like we're going back to, creation. It's that we can live in abundance if we want to, and everyone can free willingly create what they want to create. And even your competitor, people are going to follow him for his reasons, right? And then people are going to follow you for your reasons.
If it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
That's just how it is. Like, it'll just happen without you, throwing dust on someone's, game over there. That's what yeah.
Yeah, I'm sitting here reading some of the comments in the chat room. I know you can't see them, but it's nothing about you. It's just all about religion and politics, and then somebody says he says this is Hunter Fuse. He calls in all the time. He says the only one that's bad is the Catholics due to their idolatry. That's what he said. No, their idolatry of Mary, and that's the whole thing. I mean, like, there's good and bad with all of them. And if we're gonna sit here and pick it out and point it out, I'll tell you this: when it comes to that, because I was big into that in the church, you know, the evangelicals, the Protestants, they talk bad about the Catholics, right? That's just part of it. And stay away from them. They worship Mary. They don't worship Jesus. They're into this. They're into that. And there's a lot of truth to it. They have a lot of truth to that, right? And I studied it. I studied Babylonian worship and the way the Father, the Son, and the Mother is worshipped and venerated. And there's always the Trinity in every religion. And they're worshipped on the same holy days, on December 25th, Easter. Like, all of this stuff is high pagan days. That's where I come from. I come from studying that stuff and exposing it as being satanic or as being pagan or whatnot. But, and I would find contention. Like, I would make it my goal to be the truth seeker and to give you guys the truth on these false religions. But when I had my awakening,
got the knowledge, yeah.
When I had my awakening, the big thing was how I remember distinctly being around a Catholic and not trying to find contention with them, and seeing him as my brother, and seeing somebody who's on his own journey of awakening, his own journey of truth, and seeing what we can agree on, and not be like, hey man, you're in a false religion. You guys worship Mary. The Bible says that, you know what I'm saying, call no man father, but you call your priest the father, you know, and all of this stuff. And, you know, Jesus told us how to pray in the Lord's Prayer, our Father who art in heaven. Why do you guys pray to Mary? You know, and have all of these things. But I found that when I could be around this guy and not bring that stuff up, and I went away like, you know what? Something's happening, man. I'm making progress, and it's a good thing. Of not finding contention with everybody who don't believe in what you believe in. Like, that's the thing, you know? Hey, you're wrong because I believe this. Okay, just because I'm wrong, don't mean you're right.
No. But isn't that like the beauty of being human and the beauty of the world, is that we all can free think for ourselves and we all can believe in something. I mean, the diversity is what makes it beautiful, I think. I mean, I wouldn't want to be a whole list of androids all believing the same thing, right? Like, where
Lemmings.
would your vote be? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's sad, but like you said, religion is good for those who need it, like who are coming out of that. I mean, I look at it like this, and this is maybe getting too deep about it, but the word, you know what I'm saying? The word religion means to bind or to hold back. And the majority of people, I'm going to say majority, and you guys, you don't have to be, like, you could see this, who are dealing with religion, or it's good for them, it's because they need to be told what to do or how to think when it comes to a lot of people coming off of drugs, a lot of people coming out of abusive relationships, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people, for someone to be addicted to drugs, and I don't say this to be mean, but it's a lot of weak-minded people to let a substance, to let another person rule your life. So you get into a church circle to kind of come out of that, and you need to be told how to think. You need to be told when to wake up, what to do, touch this, don't do this, because you can't figure it out. It's good. It's good for many people. The religion means to bind or to hold back, and some people need it, and it plays a role. It played a role in my life, a huge role. I come off of drugs. I come out of that. There's so many AA meetings and stuff of like Celebrate Recovery is what they call it in the church, but it's the same thing about coming off of drugs and being told how to live. Man, people don't know. Like, so church is helping a lot of people. Like, those, it's structure, but it can only take you so far. You can only go so far. And once you come out of that and you come into your own, there comes a point where you may have to kick it to the curb. But for some people, you may never reach that point. And that's not a bad thing, though. I'm not talking down on it. That's not a bad thing. If it's for you, it's for you. If that brings you joy, you love that community of people, don't listen to anybody, man. If that's what makes you happy, you stick with it. But if there's contention there, and many of you guys who are listening, an hour and 20 minutes into this podcast, you're listening to this for a reason, because you guys are going through that. You're having the contentions and stuff, man.
If there's any sort of resistance in your life where there's contention, there's like you feel conflicted in your life, that's really there for you to like really take a look at it and be like, what's not serving me in this? Because if you were supposed to be there, it would be a lot easier. It would just feel different in your system. So it's there to like have you take a look at it and to like reevaluate it and be like, what's my position in this? And like, what's in resistance? Like, how do I change it? Otherwise it's so easy.
Yeah. But it's good for a lot of people though. So to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but be careful in there. There's a lot of stuff that goes on that's not good. And you figure that out. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist. If it does, then this may be the wrong podcast for you. But yeah, man, just do whatever works. Some people are called into that, and I'm in a weird position though, because like everybody, and I've kind of become accustomed to it. I'm not trying to get you to leave your church, but I'm telling you, like I get messages from church leaders, I get messages from worship leaders who want to do mushrooms. They feel like it's calling them. Psilocybin's calling them. And they're a church worship leader. And I'm not like, I don't tell, do it, bro. Do it, bro. That's not me. But you guys know what I say. If it calls you, it calls you. And you have no choice but to do it. I get messages from Christian radio DJs who have some of the biggest stations in the country. And they listen to this podcast because I'm talking about the stuff that they can't talk about. And I don't call myself promoting it, but if it calls you, it calls you. But I'm letting you know the consequences. If you do it and then you're in this place where you can't talk about it freely, that's not good. You can't be who you truly are. You're passionate about music. You're passionate about the ways of the past, the path of the ancients. Psychedelics is a part of that. But you can't talk about it. I'm telling you, we're talking about being free and being your authentic self. You can't thrive in those circles, man. It's going to come eventually. Like eventually you're going to want to, if you have a life-changing encounter, like I look at it like this. Like when I got saved, I came out of really dark witchcraft and dealing with demons. I got into church and I was wanting to tell everybody. Like I was doing music, talking about Jesus. Like you couldn't shut me up about Jesus, right? Because it changed my life. Like it brought me from a bad place to where I am now. And there was no way. And there's so many zealous young Christians who would just go. I mean, we'll go to like McDonald's and just start, Jesus, he loves you. Or I remember like, hey guys, I'm in love with a man. His name is Jesus. You know what I'm saying? And
I love the whole Jesus is my homeboy. Right? I mean, like we all would love him if he was here.
I think we would. You know what? The religious people disagree with that, but I really think we would. Yeah, I think we would. But just as passionate as I was for that, because it was a truth that changed my life, I'm just as passionate about psychedelic research because of what I see it doing to help people. It's curing depression. It's helping people cope with depression. People getting over the fear of dying. All kinds of stuff, man. People are coming off of heroin addiction and through like a strong psilocybin encounter or ayahuasca. I'm going to be vocal about that too. The same zeal that I had when my life was turned around for becoming a Christian for Jesus. Why I wasn't silent then. Why would I be silent now? And I think many of you guys know what I'm talking about. You guys can feel that. Like, and you're in a place where you can't be vocal about that when you're dealing with the church realm. And so, just be warned, man,
Yeah. Wow. It's eye-opening for me because I wasn't raised, in a church. And so it's really eye-opening for me.
World. It has its own world, man. I'm telling you.
See such limitation is it works at my solar plexus. I'm going to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. It gets all tight.
No, me too. Now it does, man. Big time.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah. Like,
it's bad.
I have to go through that.
And But like I was saying too, before we went live, like a lot of people, they're mad that we get to talk, that I get to talk about psychedelics and Jesus. And Jesus. They're like, nope. That's what makes them mad, like that I'm mixing the two. So I know you can't mix it. And like we've coined the phrase, you know what I'm saying? My buddy Dano, you didn't let me in the club, so you can't kick me out. Like you didn't let. Who are you? Just because you disagree with me or you don't believe, like, or I would see posts online and they say, Christians can't believe in astrology, or Christians can't support Obama, or whatever the case is. Like, you want to bet? Yeah. Christians can't curse. You want to bet? Christians can't believe this. You want to bet? I am one. You know what I'm saying? Who are you to make up these rules that don't exist? You know what I'm saying? So,
and to put so many boundaries.
Yeah. And you're making it up as you go. These are unspoken rules that you're making up.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's crazy. I mean, not crazy. I know people.
It is crazy.
I was like, I don't want to offend anyone out there, but and the reality is a lot of these limitations that are set, those people that are setting those limitations are actually living that lie.
It's not that you can't, it's that they can't.
Yeah.
They can't follow Jesus and read a horoscope. They can't follow Jesus and be into astrology or astronomy or into Reiki and study Reiki. Like, they can't do it. There's a disconnect there. But I don't see that, and I don't see it at all. And I see it, for me, what I bring to the table is that all of this stuff is in the Bible. Like, it really is. There's some deep stuff in there that it's weird that nobody even knows. Well, we're talking about divination. We're talking about planetary alignment and the spirits.
All civilization stuff. That is
exactly. And that's what that is, ancient. That text is old. We try to interpret it with Western Christianity and try to make it fit into our lives.
I mean, how did he do all of his miraculous healings? He was an energy healer.
Exactly.
I mean,
it's the same thing.
Yeah. Pyramids. I mean, all of that stuff. This is all ancient civilization, which has everything to do with how the stars align and the planets align. That's our communication base. Yeah.
Yep. And that's what led them, man. So when I got into looking at studying the prophets and how they operated, and they were called seers. And the word seers translated to stargazer. Like, the prophets were stargazers. So there was a comfort for me. Don't look at the stars, brother. No. The seers and prophets of the scriptures, they gazed at the stars. I'm going to go gaze at the stars. Let me see what happens. Why are y'all telling me not to? First of all, let's see what happens.
Yeah, you're going back to your roots, from all your past lifetimes.
Reading some of these comments again. I think.
Are we in trouble?
No. I'm just reading. No, Kenny. He's commenting again. He says mushrooms were made by God through Jesus for His purpose. I think it can be a great thing for the right person. The worst mistake for others. Probably, set and setting. You don't want to go to a Marilyn Manson concert and eat a bag of mushrooms.
No way. I'm all about your environment, because
and music.
People that have gone on some bad trips, and I'm like, you did not check your environment.
Yeah.
Like, that's like, you kind of have to get romantic with your mushrooms. Like, you've got to set the tone,
you do.
Right? You got to set the
You definitely do. I had some beautiful music on before we went live, so I had to do it too.
Yeah, but if that environment's not perfect, don't do it. Don't do it.
Because I've got a couple friends that and these are Christian guys, right? We went out and we had a men's retreat, and we all did a large dose of mushrooms, and we had a beautiful encounter, life-changing encounter in the woods, and awesome. It was deep. Yeah. And so then the other guys, like, I have to learn from that stuff. Like, there's so much revelation that comes to me, so much downloads and vision quest. That's what it is, a vision quest. The visions come, and I'm like, it's going to take me weeks, if not months, to unpack this information and apply it to my life. And that's why I did it, to get revelation about myself. And they were like, all right, bro, we're doing it again next weekend. I'm trying to get something. I'm like, what? Next weekend, dude? I'm not going to, I respect it too much to do that, And
allow it to integrate into, and translate into the earth plane, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you have to integrate that information.
But who are we to make the rules and say you have to?
No, you're right. That's just for Listen,
No,
I've
it's for me too. It's for me too. I agree with that. But one of the people who was with me, they went the following weekend and wanted to have the same kind of encounter with other people, and their setting was different. So they had a bunch of mushrooms. They in the middle of a neighborhood and. In a suburb, they all take mushrooms. They got the door wide open, blasting music, blaming on my ADD, baby. I haven't seen the video, but I heard that the video is pretty crazy. And so they're on mushrooms and they're listening to that music and they're watching crazy. I don't know if it's demons or weird stuff happening on the video. And dude starts having a bad trip. When the week before he had a beautiful, life-changing encounter. And then he tries to go back, and the different people who are wanting to do strobe lights and blare the music, and the door's wide open, so there's the fear that the cops may come as well. Yeah. So it totally. So he locked himself in the bathroom, and he's like having a come to Jesus moment, trying to figure out. But those bad trips are teachers too. Like they're called the golden teachers for a reason. Maybe the lesson is to not do that again. And focus on the set and focus on the people around you. You can't just let anybody be around you either, man. You're so sensitive to the spirits of and the vibration of the music that's being played. Like we can feel that anyway. Like a lot of empaths can feel music, and just hearing the music will change their mood, and it just speaks to them. But on mushrooms, like you feel it on your body, like literally. And just imagine.
Feel that, yeah.
Just imagine if it's bad music,
Yeah. No, it is all about it just really opens you up energetically to have an experience.
Yeah.
But you are just wide open. It's like it's almost like your skin is shed, and your light body's just like out there seeing this energy. And you can see the energy moving when you're in that moment. Yeah, you feel it. Like your senses are just wide open. And so that's why environment's so important.
we talked about because it was a bunch of Christians, so we're talking about how we were just amazed at the love of God. Like we were moved to tears just thinking about the love of God for us, And so it's one thing to know that God loves you. It's another thing to feel it. And I can feel it, not just saying that, but you can feel it.
Your heart feel.
Yeah, man, it's overwhelming. It's beautiful, and so that's what it's about for me. When I talk about this stuff, set and setting, and do it in the right environment. And if it calls you, it calls you. If that, I say I'm not promoting it, and I'm not telling anybody to do it, but that seems for me, a seeker, that seems pretty irresistible to me.
Yeah, well, and just it is. It's something that Mother Earth created for us, and I'm all about it. There's a reason why it's there. There's a reason why marijuana is out there. Mother Earth created it. And I'm not some hippy dippy Californian sitting out here, but if the Mother Earth created it, there's probably a pretty functional use for it, and there's a reason why. But yeah, I've been mushrooms I'm a student of this earth, and so I do like experiencing everything, so I can have that lesson and really, so now I have the knowledge of talking through it. And mushrooms are by far my favorite. If anyone wants to have some sort of experience and they're just starting out, I do feel check your environment, but I do feel that it can be a really beautiful experience.
Awesome. Well, we just got a bunch of comments of gratitude. People says, Crystal is a wise addition. Thank you, Truth, for the beautiful souls you share with us. So a lot of people resonating with your work. Go ahead and share your links, because you do classes and you're a teacher as well, teaching people how to walk in their own God-given psychic abilities and how to access those realms. Go ahead and share your information, how people can check you out.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everyone. Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for you all listening. So thank you. My website is crystalsunshinepsychicservices.com. And you can find, I have a Psychic Academy on there. I do actually a whole year-long program of psychic development. I just started that in the beginning of January, not too late to join. And then I also even do a 4-week class and these are all phone programs, in our digital world, we could be anywhere in the world. And so I find that that's the format that works best. And I even have like a 4-week program. It's just 2 hours each week where I teach you how to completely open up your third eye. And by the end of the 4 weeks, you're actually learning how to read and move energy. It's really beautiful. And then I have like a women's intuition class, and, I've got a bunch of fun stuff that I'm always creating, but, and then I've got great services as well. I do like spiritual introductions where I like introduce you to your spiritual team, and I do custom meditations, and I do psychic readings and clairvoyant readings. So check my website out, crystalsunshinepsychicservices.com. And you can also find me on Facebook at Crystal Sunshine Psychic Services and Crystal Sunshine Psychic Academy. So please friend me, please like me. Please, let's spread the word together.
Yeah, you guys do that. Check out her stuff. Make sure you support. I really believe in the people who come on my show. They have something to bring to the table. If you guys want to see Crystal come back on as a guest, make sure you like this video, share it out, and let me know in the comments if you guys want to see her back on. So help me book some stuff. And I know there's so much more to talk about that we didn't even get into, and there's so many notes that I had.
Yeah, we could like sit here and talk all day.
Yeah, and I would keep going, but I have another show scheduled coming right on, so we'll have to do it again.
That's okay. My bulldog's like, I gotta go to the beach.
All right, my friend. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate you.
Oh my gosh, I appreciate you, and I appreciate all your listeners. Thank you so much. Hopefully until next time.
Yeah, we'll do it again.
Sounds good, Derek. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Crystal Sunshine, everybody. Great show. Awesome show. I got another one. It's supposed to be interviewing Keenan K. Lee. He was a Christian rapper, gone to the dark side. This should be an interesting conversation. I looked up to that guy years ago. I don't know where he's at right now. I don't know what type of interview this is going to be. I don't know if he is doing it as a gimmick to reach people. Maybe he'll say that. I think probably maybe he still is a Christian. Maybe he still believes the stuff he believes. I don't know. But within the next 20 minutes, we're going to go live interviewing Kaylee. I did a song with him years ago. We got a song called This Is How We Ride. Really good song, actually. One of my favorites when I was doing gospel rap. So check that one out. This Is How We Ride. Truth Seeker featuring Kaylee and Goodwill, I believe it is. Good song. So with that, I'm going to say peace and shalom. You guys catch me back. I'll be live here in a minute. Also, if you're listening to this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe on the podcast end. If you have an iPhone, you have the podcast app already on there. So just click the link in the description. It says subscribe with the podcast or to the podcast. Even if you have an Android, there's a link for you guys there. Do that for me. That would mean the world. If you guys want to support my show, if you want to see me continue to do this and bring more content and keep it coming, please support me on Patreon. You get a bunch of cool stuff. We're going to be doing the School of the Mystics every Thursday night. It's going to be online training and discipleship. We're going to be doing activation. I'm excited about it. I've always wanted to do it. I'm able to see the potential in a lot of people that I work with, a lot of people I get messages from. And I don't want it to stop there with just a message. You know what I'm saying? I have to take it to the next level. So we're going to do it hands-on, and it's going to be candid, and it's going to be private. So if you guys just need somebody to talk to, we're going to do it. It's going to be fun. Community. Patreon.com/TruthSeeker. Sign up at any level, and there you'll get access. It'll be on the website. You can go to School of the Mystics, schoolofthemystics.net. And then you can also just go to truthseeker.com and click on School of the Mystics to get access. We'll do it Thursday nights, 7 p.m., and it's going to be good. With that, I'm going to say peace and shalom. I love each and every one of y'all, and I'll be back soon. Peace, peace. Thanks for rocking with me. Peace.
Your way so much higher than mine, so much higher than mine, so much deeper than mine, so much deeper than mine.
Well, that does it for this episode, folks. To hear more episodes of the Truth Seeker podcast, head over to truthseeker.com. And if you're wanting to support the show and get rewards, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/truthseeker.